Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michael Rubenstein. I am one of the co-founders of a company called Firsthand, which is a AI-based advertising technology company that helps brands directly engage consumers wherever they are online. I'm so thrilled to be here speaking with Cheryl Guerin today. Thank you. Also, just a big thank you to the Brand Innovators crew for throwing this session together, and also to Microsoft, of course, for hosting today. And Cheryl, it's such a pleasure to see you again. Last time I saw you was in December, right before the holidays. And you'd said, I had been up at the great Brand Innovator session at your offices that Mastercard hosted, and we'd said, let's get together in the new year. And
here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking more like coffee.
It's still cold.
Of course, Cheryl has been a long-time innovator and marketer and executive at Mastercard, and is well known to this audience, and it's great to have you here. And I'm thrilled to be talking to you about a subject I'm passionate about, AI. I know so many people in this room are. But also, I think a really interesting question about humanizing AI, which I think is sort of a fascinating angle on it. And you and I chatted beforehand about whether AI is humanizing or a dehumanizing force. I think Mastercard has been on the forefront of innovating in and around AI, and I know there's a lot for you to talk about there. But maybe before we get into that, it might be helpful just to share with the folks here, like, how did you go from, you've been at Mastercard a long time, starting at Mastercard to today, where you're leading this brand and innovation group?
Thank you. It's great to be with you again, and thanks also to Brand Innovators and Microsoft. Great space, and appreciate it. How did I get where I am today? How did this happen? I don't know. I started on the agency side, actually, before Mastercard, but I've led a number of different roles at Mastercard, from integrated marketing to digital marketing a long, long time ago, like, frankly, when the social companies were all coming out. So also at a time of transformation where marketing was changing dramatically. That led me to lead a region marketing function, ultimately North America marketing and communications. And then I actually led businesses at Mastercard, our credit business as well, globally, and our North America products and services team. And then back to marketing, and in a global role now, leading, frankly, it's brand strategy and innovation, and it's all of our global marketing functions sit underneath this space. And it's the most exciting. I think like 5 years ago, we said it was the most exciting time to be in marketing, but it really is the most exciting time to be in marketing, and especially in a role that's focused on advancing a culture of innovation and looking at the future. So not just when you're in a region role and you're fighting for every piece of revenue in the moment, you do that and you learn certain skills. When you're in a different type of role like I am now, you're also needing to predict a little bit of the future and think about the tools, the capabilities, the kind of learning agenda that you want for the group, so that we stay ahead of the curve with a cutting edge brand.
That's super cool. I mean, what a great opportunity, obviously, for you and your colleagues. I would imagine inside Mastercard, there would need to be support for innovation coming from high levels to be able to create the space to experiment as you do.
Oh, yes. I mean, one is, a lot of times, we have room for crazy, is what I will say, at our company, which is really good. Like, even our CEO will come to our town halls and say, I'll tell you, half the time I don't understand some of the things where you're going with this, and then it ends up in such an amazing space. Don't stop coming up with new ideas and, helping us stand out and be innovative. New news is a currency in our category, and actually being modern and innovative and human, which I know we're going to talk about, is really important. And so it requires not just a thinking about what's cool and what's new just to be new, but to really think how you impact people's lives. So cutting edge, purpose-driven, and then really thoughtful about how we break through. I feel like I could say this comfortably. I hate saying it because I love advertising, but the reality is it's not as effective as it used to be. It's really hard to break through. People are getting hit with 10,000 messages a day. Likely only 2 will stick. And so we look at new ways to break through, and sometimes that's opening a restaurant like we do, Priceless Restaurant, or that might be multisensory marketing, like we just launched a haptic brand that when you check out, you'll start feeling the touch of trust and peace of mind. And so really thinking about how you stick and create memory muscle other than a traditional ad campaign, it's important for all of us.
So this idea of, creating a human connection with consumers and, showing up in an experiential way for them seems like it's very much a North Star for everything you do at the company. How has that informed the way that you think about AI use cases?
Yeah, so we, it's an interesting thing because we've been doing, AI is happening everywhere around the company, right? It's something that's ingrained. It's in our fraud tools. It's in, everything that we do. There's not a department that's not using AI tools because it's a data-driven company. But as we step back as a marketing organization, same thing. It's not just what's cool, but where we can really make an impact with it. And we looked at the two ways. What would make us more productive as a marketing organization? What tools would really help us? And then, where can we really innovate in new and human experiences that will make a difference, that will make us have a better connection and communication with consumers? And so, we went down that sort of engine. I don't know if you want me to talk about any of those right now.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Let's talk about some of the concrete use cases and examples for sure.
Yeah, I'll give you 2 examples on productivity first. So, one of them I was just talking to you about, and I saw as a sponsor, one of the partners that sponsored today, which I'll give them a shout out now, Stravito has helped us. There you go. Okay, we have the Mastercard Insights engine is one of them. I have research and insights under me. We're a global organization. We do a ton of understanding what matters to consumers and business people around the world, and it's not so easy to get your hands on all of this research. Whoever commissions the research holds it, et cetera. Anyway, what we did was we worked with Stravito. There you go again, and we have all of our information now housed with an answers engine, all of our research from all around the world. So if I need to know how Japanese young consumers care about sustainability and some further insight around what they care about, what would motivate them, et cetera, I just ask it a question. I get an answer, gives me an executive summary. It points me to all the research documents that this might sit in, both our research and third-party research. And then it actually makes me some slides, too. That's cool, and that's really efficient. Same with RFP Factory. We're not direct to consumer. We have to win issuer and merchant business every single day. We fight for winning, and we answer RFPs like nonstop. Well, what a great way to turn what is a 5-day exercise to responding to an RFP into 8 hours. Now, if you're RFPing us, don't tell anyone I told you that. So it's, those are 2 really productive ways that give us more power to keep us focused on the more important things, like the big ideas we want to put in that RFP, actually. Now, then on the innovation side, we have something that we launched called Small Business AI. And it was, again, just thinking about how do we help small businesses. We have so much knowledge and information for small businesses. And what we learned, insight was, only 25% of small businesses have access to a mentor, yet like over 90% of small businesses say that they believe, and it is true, there's a longer lifespan lifespan for businesses that have mentorship. And so we created a tool that democratizes, mentor-like information, both from real mentors that we've, sourced that content from responsibly through publishers and partners like Clara for Creators as an example. And then we actually then have our own, how do you move your business and operate it in a digital world, safe payments, cybersecurity, all of the things you need to know, including, helping write a business plan, et cetera, depending on what stage you are in your business. So that's a meaningful tool. By the way, what other way? You could have come to our website and read a whole bunch of stuff if you really wanted to, but asking a question, getting a simple answer, and then people come back. It's an easy mechanism, better way to communicate.
I mean, those are amazing examples, and congratulations on actually putting those into the wild. I'm curious on the Small Business Mentor, is there anything you could share about the end consumer receptivity and engagement? I'm assuming people really like it.
Yeah, there's a couple of things, because we did testing before as well. It's very rigorous, as anybody might expect at a company like ours, and and most. You have to be really careful about what you're putting out there, and particularly if it's going to be something that should be a resource so important for small businesses to use. One is, there's a lot of discussion, and it's, do you really need this? Because you could use this in ChatGPT, and there was a lot of discussion around that at our company. Like, is this a true? Does this make sense to do? And the reality is, we tested it, and people, they trust the source of information that's coming from Mastercard, and the way we did it by pulling in multiple publishers into one space. Plus, we have the types of information that we can offer, that's not public as well, like where you should actually open a business, depending on what that business is, and advise. And, we have our own data there. So one is, just because you could put it in ChatGPT or Google, and I'm so sorry if anybody's I don't mean, just because it doesn't mean that there's no space for anyone else to do it, right? Because you're going to go to ChatGPT for a number of things. But, if you want very specific and specialized content, we had more links, more information, access to grants, click right off. We gave advice on how do you actually write and fill out grant information. So there's room for others. So that's one to keep in mind. You have to keep innovating because everybody's innovating. So we have to keep evolving. It doesn't stop. But we also one of the things is that as we think about cybersecurity and how to really help businesses, like if they have a cyber attack, it's basically I think it's 60% of businesses shut down after they're hacked, small businesses. So it's very serious. So we have the ability to get people access to more information in ways that's it's easy for them to understand and get them quicker access to tools as well. So, it's a way to sell, but I want to say it's more soft selling than it is, in your face advertising, selling a cybersecurity tool. And I would just say it takes a while, right? I think I have little patience for, Nikki knows because she's on my team and in the audience, but I have little patience for things that take a long time. And it's, you have to do so much testing, as you know, it learns. So the more you're testing, the more you're doing. And it just required a lot to make sure we pulled bias out. We really thought through it. So anyway, I just would say any of these tools, particularly if you're going external, you could take on risk if it's internal. If you're going external, it just requires a set of diligence that you better leave time for.
What do you mean by going external versus internal?
Well, if I'm launching a tool for our team, like the Insights Engine,
Got it.
and if I'm launching something external, consumer-facing, or business customers are going to use, right? It takes time. It takes time, and you better get it right.
Understood. Completely. Yeah.
So yes, you get it right.
But I would assume also, especially as a financial services company, it must be even more challenging and onerous to ensure that those consumer-facing experiences, which I absolutely applaud you doing, by the way. I think that's amazing, the small business mentorship program and others. But yeah, I mean, that must be very complicated, especially in a company like Mastercard. How do you convince internal stakeholders? How do you get compliance and legal and regulation and everybody lined up and on board?
So much fun. No, it's very good, actually, that we have, we launched an AI, governance team, and anything that says governance sounds awful to deal with, but it's not. You want to get this right. You don't want to mess this up. And so we have, I actually sit on that steerco and review things that are coming through from a brand perspective, even to say, is this on brand? Should we be doing this kind of thing? And then you've got people there that are, here's the right infrastructure. We build things in a certain way, and that's the way we're going to do them, and so forth. But it really, it's helpful to have that. And then, we set a standard we do bias testing, we do security testing, and it's significant. It's significant, but you have to press through. And the other thing to keep in mind is it's significant enough that it takes people's time to actually help you get that launched, that there's a desire to really prioritize what's going to have the most impact. So you heard it a little bit before, you go through a process of defending and testing why this is going to be so meaningful, so that you ensure your innovation actually goes to market. So, but you have to fight. People will find a way to tell you no, and you have to find a way to break through that.
Right.
She's laughing because she knows.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
How many times we said, no, we're not going to prioritize it. Oh, yes, we are. We're going to prioritize it. We will find a way, because when you do the testing and you talk to the small businesses and there's a real opportunity, and that's the diligence that you have to do to get innovations to market.
Well, and I imagine also, that's why I'm sure it's helpful to have people like yourself on the governance committee so that it doesn't become an innovation killer, but an innovation enabler. So what's a good, juicy example you can give us of something that wasn't an easy yes from a brand strategy or a technology perspective that's gone through the AI lens?
Yeah. So, one of the things we've gone through, and it's a work in progress, right? I will tell you that we've gotten things that will go, and it's like clearly not our tone of voice. So we had to redo and reset everything from a branding standpoint, our tone of voice, so that when it goes through, it's actually picking up. It's not perfect, but it's, it helps to make things, pretty on standard. But like, what is the voice going to sound like? How does your logo appear in a chat bot? What is your whole set of brand standards? But one of the things that come through is, I say just because you can do something doesn't mean we should necessarily. Like, somebody wanted to take one of our most senior people at the company and, their speech and turn it into 50 languages. And it sounds like a good idea for a global company, right? Really efficient. How, like, as a human brand and an authentic company, to change one of our executives so that they're speaking a language that they don't speak? No. It was an easy shutdown, by the way. But people fought. They tried to keep it, but here's why. No, it would be so efficient. Go back to subtitles. Like, no, it's not authentic. So there's a number of those cases where you have to say, is that avatar representing who we are? Do we really want it? And we've shut a lot of those down.
Got it. I'll ask another one or two questions and then would love to open it up to the floor if people have questions for Cheryl. I thought another interesting one that I read about was the Mastercard Dynamic Yield Shopping Muse. Can you tell us a little bit about that particular use case?
Yeah, so, one of the things to know about MasterCard is we are not just a payments company, we're a services company, and we have a number of data and personalization offerings, and Dynamic Yield is a personalization engine for web and e-commerce experiences, and they created an AI chatbot called Shopping Muse, and it's actually distributed out to lots of retailers, H&M, Hugo Boss, Michael Kors, and it uses both the intelligence from the personalization engine as well as just common culture conversation and knowledge to personalize suggestions for you as you're shopping on those sites. So we say, like, it understands things that, when you get an invite that says, oh, your attire for this event is California cool, like, it will know what that means, and you could ask it. Or if you're, going to a wedding in Charleston and you want to understand what's the proper attire for that kind of a setting, it knows these nuances on top of the fact that it can just make great personalized recommendations based upon either the behaviors you've had on the site before. And so it's a really cool, nice chatbot feature that just makes shopping a little bit more fun and easy. Again, e-commerce experiences, think about that. It's just, again, another example of humanizing e-commerce. When we go into a store still, it is a better shopping experience in some ways because I get to look and browse in a way that I like. And so, still a lot of e-commerce sites are still just, merchandise, click, it's not as human, but adding this kind of a chatbot functionality makes it a bit more fun and interesting and human.
Super cool. Okay. Questions? Yes, there's one in the back.
How do you validate a good idea?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, one thing I should say is one of the things that we did is we create, and it creates a learning environment too. We'll take, new technologies or new trends and insights and culture, and we'll do and hold innovation challenges. And actually, we do them across global marketing and communications, and then we wind up we judge them based upon, likelihood to drive business, likelihood to drive brand, ability, to get into market, again, like real cutting edge. Will it earn media? Will it really drive buzz around our brand? And then we actually have them present. We mentor them, actually. We get down to finalists. We mentor them to help make their business cases, and then present in front of the leadership team as well as, other leaders at Mastercard. And then we pick the top 3, and those go to get developed into market. So small business AI is an example of that. We've done this other artist accelerator program that's out there as well with the Gen AI music studio. That's out there as well. So that's one way. But we have a pretty rigorous process when it comes to product. So sometimes it's marketing, we can make those decisions. And I tell you, I still use gut feeling a lot. And I sometimes try to convince people that, if I told you how many great ideas we wanted certain groups to do and they don't do them, and then we figure out a way to do them in marketing, and they break through, and they position us differently because they're human based. They're not as rational based. And so if you could find a way to carve out just a little space for it. We do it, during planning period too, and based upon what the regional marketers gravitate to, we'll green light a few because we know that a few marketers will put them out there. The product teams, they're not going to green light innovation unless it could drive a huge amount of revenue. And so we can do some things that position us, get us out there, and that ultimately you could build on to drive bigger revenue over time. And I just think marketers have the ability to potentially, create a bucket of that's not just, hey, it's got to make X millions in revenue before we even will look at that idea.
Cool. I think we have time for one more question. Yes.
Hi.
Cheryl, I'm Anthony Glenn. Just a quick one. Wondering about, how hard are you pushing your agency partner? Leverage assets to stretch the spend that you're making. How are you seeing that transform the model, both with the agency?
Oh, it's such a good question. I think I will say this. Yes, I would say we're developing everything that I just talked about. We've developed with a third-party partner, or we've developed in-house on our own. Create Labs is a partner that helped us create Small Business AI. We are pushing our agencies, and we have to push our agencies so that we can have more efficiency. I'm not pushing them. I don't want them to use AI to create human amazing ideas, because that's where I want them focused. But if we could streamline and create efficiencies, media spaces, and so forth, there are some places where it's being used, but I still think there's a huge ramp up that has to happen on the agency side to advance us in the space. Not be scared of it, because, from my standpoint, again, I don't think the kinds of ideas we have and the kinds of things we get from our agencies, I hope and pray we never see an AI tool coming up with stuff like that, and I just don't see it happening in the future. But the tactical stuff, we should be creating efficiencies all the way. If we do that, we're going to both win, agency and us, because we'll get more of the better ideas and the innovation into market. But we push for efficiencies like crazy, whether it's AI or other.
This has been great. I just want to commend you and Mastercard for keeping the focus on what matters most, which is AI as an enabler of humanization. And I think whether it's the small business owner, the consumer, or the internal employee trying to develop insights, it's really inspiring to hear how you are doing it. So thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you so much.